So, welcome to Sit Chat. I show you a very simple screen, a short PowerPoint slide of what Sit Chat is all about. It's a very brief introduction which talks about the various topics that we keep discussing during Sit Chat. This is something which is what the idea of Sit Chat was, to really bring in experts who can share their wisdom on topics of interest to the startups, what you see on this slide.
Sure.
And based on this, I have taken the responsibility of I volunteered to organize a Sit Chat regularly. That is my contribution to the SIT community. Otherwise, I am a consultant. I help companies improve their performance through consulting and coaching and mentoring. With that brief introduction, I forgot, my name is Dinakar. That's important. My name is Dinakar. And what you see in the background of my image is the core value that we bring to the table to make sure that the daily work management meeting becomes very strong in organizations, which actually is the linchpin of any organization. So with that, these are the topics that one could be speaking on. Today, we have Pawan Sriram, who would be talking to us on essential skills for a startup founder. From his wisdom as a trainer and later as an entrepreneur, and now again as an executive. So it's a very interesting combination to really listen to you, Pawan. So that's the topic for the day. I don't want to go into a big detailed introduction of Pawan. I would let him introduce himself. That has more spice in it. And before I hand over to him, let me just show you a small disclaimer which talks about our purpose being noble, and definitely whatever we share here is something which is based on our experience. And because we are talking about experts, definitely something which is correct, good, but still we strongly recommend to take professional advice, professional help before really implementing whatever you listen to in the Sit Chat. Thank you so much. And with that, I will unshare my screen and hand over to Pawan to take over. And as people keep coming in, I'll get them to log on. Pawan, over to you, please. You're on mute, Pawan.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dinakar.
You can introduce yourself briefly and then...
Yes, I'll do that. Let me share a few slides that I put up. I'd also put up a small set of my career journey. So I thought I'll use that.
Yeah, sure, do that.
Speak about my experiences and my observations, and also whatever skills that I could gather as an entrepreneur, from the startups that I worked, from the CEOs that I learned from, and out of the 20 years that I have been in my professional journey, about almost 9 years I've spent as an entrepreneur, scaling up different businesses, seeing a lot of failures more than success, and also making a fair attempt to then kind of finally sell off our technology platform for learning. So the last 20 years, like I said, I started off with many startups. I found my way through human resources as a very interesting area of expertise, and have been more or less working in the space, which is what I say, organizational development, bringing expertise in leadership development, assessments, consulting, content delivery. Somewhere around in the last 8-10 years, I also went and got certified myself, and from what we call a CLDP, Certified Learning and Development Practitioner by Aon. I've spent the last 15 years training people across about 7 continents, about 15,000 employees and students, and for some of the blue chip MNCs, companies like Amazon, Intel, Infosys, Wipro, Shell, and Mahindra, and so on and so forth. My previous experiences have been with companies like Dale Carnegie Training, Manipal Education, Infosys, and companies like this, where I've been really on top of roles which involve design and delivery of projects. I've handled multiple sales assignments, I've been the delivery side of things. And I'm passionate about, what do I say, learner engagement, employee engagement. I'm passionate about measurement because I believe that if you can't measure, you can't really manage. And that's something that's been my fundamental school of thought from the day I started my professional journey. Be it a corporate or be it an entrepreneur, you have to measure everything that you want to manage. I've also been very passionate in the last 2-3 years about digital solutions, especially in the learning and development side and the human resources side. There's a lot of now it's AI driven, but there are a lot of platforms and solutions which can digitally manage a lot of these projects, right? So that's something about my professional journey. Personally, I'm an international marathoner. I've run in places like Thailand, in Berlin, in Ladakh, in Sydney, and countless number of times in India. I have been running since the age of 24. I'm now 46, so that's something that I love about myself. Keeps me fit and also helps me to stay very positive. Hari is here, so I've also started writing. I did write a lot of articles for Hari. Thank you, Hari, for giving me that opportunity way back. I think between 2013 and 2018. I'm currently pursuing a PhD in human resources. I specialize in what I call entrepreneurial well-being. Right, one of the things that I believe is we're talking about a lot of mental health, well-being, be it financial well-being, social well-being, emotional well-being, right, are some of the areas that I'm trying to put my hands into. But mostly I'm trying to work around well-being as a concept for entrepreneurs. So that's a brief about me. Again, if you have any questions, do let me know. I thought I'll spend some time talking about my own experiences as an entrepreneur. So what are, for an entrepreneur, for you to kind of get your hands and feet dirty, or for you to kind of get a place where you know that this is what you want to do in life, for me, there have been really a few key career defining moments. And I thought I'll share that with you here, and then I'll move on to talk about some of these skills that presumably make a successful entrepreneur. Again, the list is endless, but I have picked up about 4 or 5. But I thought before that, I'll share my a few career defining moments, like I call places where I had this, light go in my head, or I felt this, I felt a time that, this is something that I'm very passionate to learn. I put all my blood and sweat to kind of get through a few things, learn a few things, work with a lot of mentors and CEOs. And these have been 3 of my, or rather these 3 patches of this professional journeys has been my career defining moments. So soon after my engineering in 99, I spent 2 years working with my father as a family-run business. We were the CNF agency and distributors for companies like Myco, for TVS, for Valvoline Oil. So I think that's where I really nurtured my sense of freedom to operate on my own, right? I also got my hands and feet dirty. I've literally picked up oil cans and rubber tubes and gone around all of Bangalore, all of Karnataka. I think that's how I think my dad also pushed me to, get things to do on my own, learn on my own, fall, get up, get your knees dirty, learn something new. And I think those 2 years was also a very early in my age that I was pushed into managing a part of my family business. Soon after that, I felt that, just a graduation would not really help. I went on to do my MBA from IBS Hyderabad, and I specialized in marketing as a subject. And at the end of that MBA, when I was finishing, I started developing a very keen interest in human resources. One of the things that really helped me to do that was I started winning a lot of these HR competitions in my MBA days. More than the HR guys, I was positioned to be one of those college representatives, university representatives to go all over India, right? I've gone to at least some 6, 7 universities, including a few in Bangalore, IIT Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta. So don't remember the university names, but I think in the last semester of those 6, 7 months, I won a lot of these awards and inter-college events, like they say. And I think that brought me a lot of confidence into one, being a good orator, a good speaker, also being confident of my personality. I found myself very true to people skills. And I started realizing that maybe it's not marketing, it's actually human resources that is actually picking my brain. That's where I really want to be. So Meritrack happened in 2003 after a small corporate stint with eBay. At that time, eBay was just a small office in 2003. And I joined as again, like I said, I haven't put it here, but I joined as the EA to the CEO. It's a stint that I had for 6 months. And EA to the CEO is, essentially, you bring coffee to the CEO, you go around managing his calendar, you book his cab, you book you send his reports and stuff like that. So I think it kind of I felt good about doing something and working so close to the CEO, but at the same time, I felt administratively, that's all I could do. I was really not learning anything. So, having done that, I said, let me move on to, doing something and having that flair for sales and marketing. I joined Meritrack. Meritrack, I'm not sure if any of you heard. It's today India's largest skills assessment company, right? So especially if you're in recruitment, if you're in HR, or if you're in the startup space, which sells HR solutions, you'll relate to a company like Meritrack because they are the guys who kind of run all the assessments for large and the smallest of the companies in India and outside India as well. Meritrack is now a part of Manipal Education. It got bought over in 2008. So my formative years as a professional was actually in Meritrack, I would say, right? Imagine you're working with the co-founders of a small company where you're the 31st employee. The company itself is about 2.5 years old, and you're literally called into everything that the company does, right? Be it going and making a sales pitch to figuring out whether there is water at the water cooler, or to sit down and talk to the administrative team to figure out what are the logistics and what is the plan, or to go sit with the IT team to get your laptop rectified. I mean, the very close team. I was a 31st employee, and this company grew by 2008 to about 350 employees. So I think, that's where the entrepreneurial bug literally bit me, because you could say, imagine you're working the thickest of these, thickest of the smoke. You're working the thickest of the things with an entrepreneur, with a set of entrepreneurs. Your mindset and your skills and your behavior automatically tends to be and thinking like an entrepreneur. So that was my first professional stint to work in a startup space. And today, when you say startup, at that time, startup was a small place in Gandhi Bazaar. I'm not sure how many of you know the topography of Bangalore. Gandhi Bazaar is a small place in old Bangalore where we had a small unit which could have about 50 people sitting in a small dingy place. And then when we actually came to a spotlight when Manipal Education bought Meritrack in 2008, right? HSBC, Intel had invested in Meritrack already, and Manipal, being the largest conglomerate in education, came and bought Meritrack. And I think that kind of changed the fortunes for a lot of leaders, including me. Not financially, but in terms of a professional outlook, right? Imagine you're a part of Manipal Education. After that, I said, okay, let me move on to another assignment. I happened to get an opportunity to work with a company called Talent Metrics. This is another defining milestone because Talent Metrics was setting up shop in India. Talent Metrics was a company which was 30 years old, had a history of doing assessments and HR technology and solutions and learning and development and all of that, and had a quite a very interesting platform, digital platform. So they were setting up shop in India, and they wanted somebody to come and run their business, right? And in my early 30s, I couldn't have said no to an opportunity like this, where I could work with the board in the US and have the freedom to set up entire the company on my own, recruit the people that I want, run the show, manage the P&L myself, at the same time go and talk to the client, get the business, get the IT guys to set up a platform for an Indian client. At the same time, be responsible for canteen and security and all of that, right? It also gives you a thrill because you already gone through that for about 5 years. I felt this is something that I think I want to do. I want to be a part of a company where I know I'm drawing salary, but at the same time, I'm working like an entrepreneur, right? For all of you who can relate to that word. An entrepreneur is basically draws a salary for corporate, but you get to have the freedom of working like an entrepreneur, right? You literally have to work for the salary at the end of the day, but you have the freedom to operate within the boundaries that are set by your board. So literally started off as the second employee. I grew the team in about 3.5 years to about 21 people. We got acquired by Shine.com, where Shine came in and said, we love your recruiting and employee management portal. And we want to use part of that as an employee referral tool to a lot of our clients. We also want to use your clients for all the consulting you've done. We want to buy it out and we want to give them all our services. So Shine came in, they bought out Talent Metrics, also got an opportunity to exit. And I think those 2 years I was nudging around with one or two companies here and there. I did a lot of, I did work with Dale Carnegie training. I did work with another company called Talent Sprint, which is now a part of NSC. But Talent Metrics was, again, a defining moment because I got the freedom to operate. I got the necessary skills to run a business, right? Imagine you setting up literally an office, hiring people, running the show, responsible for every money that comes out and goes out. And you're responsible for all the other support services, right? HR, finance, IT and things like that. And I think for me at this point, I kind of figured out that, I'm not going to work for anybody. I want to, work for myself. And I had also figured out that there were a few problem areas that companies in that space were not ready to solve. I think one of the things that all of us like entrepreneurs are keen to solve world's biggest problem, right? And I say world's biggest problems, those biggest problems can be another smaller subset of the problems. So I figured out that there was this big problem of learning engagement in all the training companies. And I think the best of the best companies like Dale Carnegie, Manipal Education, take any of the ones that were operating at that time, were not solving the problem of what happens after a person gets out of a classroom training program. Now it's all digital, it's online, it's virtual, it's instructor-led, like different formats. You go in, you sit in front of a laptop for 3 hours, and then you're done. You switch off, and then you're getting back to work. But at that point, classroom training was a big thing. Every company was investing into partners, vendors, into digital platforms, into training companies, and be it sales or leadership. A lot of that was happening. And I think I wanted to solve the problem of what happens after a person finishes a classroom program on a Saturday evening and he gets back to work on a Monday morning. What happens? How does he apply his learnings? What is the measurement criteria? Or how does the HR or CEO expect for him to see a behavioral change at the end of 4 weeks? what is the return on investment? A lot of these questions started, I started mumbling in my head, and I said, this is the problem I want to solve. And I think I figured out that, that's the problem I want to operate on. And I started talking to a lot of people in this, between 2012 and 2013. And I was like halfway through to get something going. And I got a person, a partner, who is also keen to solve the same problem. We started an LLP called Skills Capital in 2013. And while she was managing content and delivery, I said I'll manage marketing, sales, and finance. It was all hunky dory. I think one of the biggest highs for me was to get the first client. And in fact, incidentally, the first client came 3 weeks before we actually went and formalized our contract, and we got an office space or whatever you call it, right? Before we actually got our entity in place with all the statutory formalities, we had actually got a contract. We were holding a contract worth about 18 lakhs in our hands 3 weeks before the company started. So that was like the biggest high. I said, somewhere I think it was divinity, but at the same time, I felt that I had the right skills. I also had the right person to work with, and we were in the right space because we were able to pitch to a company called Allergis. I'm not sure how many of you know this company. And we pitched to Allergis, and Allergis said, hey, you know what? We have one of our IT verticals. We want to work with you. We have about 90 odd managers, and we want to take them through a leadership course for about 6 months. Can you do something for us? And we kind of curated this whole program, designed it. We said we'll get something going, and that's the contract we had. I think that gave me enough and immense confidence. And I said, I'm on the right path. 6 months down the line, a big failure hit me. And the failure was my co-founder said, you know what, I have a personal constraint, and I don't think I can continue as a role of a co-founder. I can work as a consultant, but I don't think I can work with you as a co-founder. So what do I do? And I said, okay. So I said, it doesn't make sense, running around for another co-founder. It doesn't make sense for me to, run a partnership firm. I said, let me make this proprietary. And I said, okay, let me go back to working on my own. And the next 3 years was, running around all of India in a suitcase, because I think I'd also built a lot of good professional network. I had built some equity in the corporate learning space, the L&D space. And I acquired a lot of interesting clients, right? At least maybe about 30, 40 of them. And 2017 was another defining moment. And I said that all of this is done manually now. I want to have a company which is investor-led. We need to get a board in place. We need to get a angel investor. We need to get kind of some Series A funding. We need to kind of put ourselves in front of the startup community and see where we can go. We had built a good name for ourselves, and we said, let's kind of pivot this model to becoming more digital, right? We will do all the engagement, but we will have an app, we will have a platform, we will now all the AI is happening, but we thought of it around in 2017. And I said, in the next 6 months I started working on getting an app and getting a device. We had our first investor come in, we had a CTO, we hired a chief consultant in the US. So I think those 6 months again was a very interesting professional journey for me with a lot of learning. Again, I brought in a CFO. A CFO helped me to negotiate term sheets, helped us to go and pitch in front of our investors. So that, I think, kind of took us to the next level of the game. Spending time with an investor, pitching, your term sheet, negotiating for, a few extra rupees and dollars is not easy. And, you have a lot of things that you're doing, but you also need to figure out what will you do next, right? What is typically, once you get the money, how are you going to utilize it? It's a big question a lot of investors ask. And I think HR and L&D was just taking shape. 2017, 18, people started realizing that you can do a lot of stuff on apps and devices and platforms. LMS was another thing that was taking off. And at the same time, we were, farming a lot of clients. We also kind of put out a lot of marketing information on the web, started selling ourselves to clients and things like that. Another big failure, COVID hit us, 2019, and we were hit by, we were literally hit midway. While we were trying to approach clients with our, fantastic product, we were having an app and all of that. We were still in the beta phase. We were trying to grow organically with this whole platform business. Earlier, it was 80% services versus 20% digital. I wanted to change the game. I said we will do 80% digital, we will do 20% service. It's a wrong call. As a CEO, as a co-founder of the company, I learned that I did make a wrong call, and it's quite embarrassing to stand in front of your board and your investors and your employees, and to kind of have the I would say the grit and to have the confidence to tell them that things are not going well. COVID also hit us at the same time. We were shoring up. We were almost going negative on our revenues. We were shoring up a lot of clients. We were losing them at the same time. So 2019 to 2021 was a bit of a downward, I would say, while we were trying to do as much as possible online. Again, clients said that, what, we want to focus on work being done in a laptop. It's not a time that we can spend money on people training themselves. We want to make sure that they're available for work. So, well, different connotations came up from clients. The clients that we were working for the last 6-7 years also said, no, we cannot work with you anymore. Contracts were closed premature even before the term ended. And but interestingly, again, like I said, it's another interesting, what do I say, a ray of hope that came. Well, we'd already built, a few clients who kind of took the digital route. We were able to see some ray of hope and sunshine between that small gap of about 6 months, 2020, I think September to around March or maybe February 2021. That's when we started talking to some of the investors again. And I said, you know what, we want to exit, we want to sell. We have a lot of good asset, we have a lot of good content, we have our services, we have our client contracts, which are still negotiable. And we've retained at least 40% of what we had. So, and we just got lucky. So 2021, we happened to get a person who was keen to kind of buy our business, and person was already in the education space, and he kind of realized that this is a place that he wanted to invest on. And we got the investment in place, we did the sell-off, and in the matter of about 2.5 months, I kind of decided that, this whole landscape of learning is changing. Either we continue to do something differently, either we kind of become this a larger company where we pivot the whole model, or given that the board also was keen to, having made its money, the board also was saying, what next? Do we kind of sell off and we go our way, or do you want to do something? And I said, we had about 13 employees then, and I said, I took a very, I would say, well thought through decision of said, you know what, we will sell off and we'll exit. We will not continue to do anything different. And again, I was not sure where this whole thing is going, because even today in 2023, if you look at it, every 6 months, there is a lot of dynamic changes happening in the business, right? At 6 months, you see that the US is falling down. Another 6 months, you see India hiring is happening. And then in 6 months, people are talking about training and development. So 2021 March, April was a time frame that I took a call. I exited the company, sold off all of that we had, and I jumped back into the corporate. I had a very interesting opportunity to work with Infosys to head their learning services for globally. And had a team. I kind of started working with a team of about 35 people sitting out of the Bangalore office, globally managing about 40,000 employees. So, I'd already built a few good networks in Infosys, perhaps, and they said, you know what, it's the right time for you to join a place like ours. Spent a year or more, then moved out and joined ACS last year. ACS got bought over by Innova, and then now I'm with TMI. TMI is a digital transformation company, and I have the global learning and development as a director. So that's my professional journey, and I wanted to kind of bring in these defining moments where not only did I see success, I saw a lot of failures. Those failures helped me to learn as an entrepreneur. Two, I think the second takeaway for me in all these 4 different assignments is that I happen to experiment a lot with my skills, experiment myself as a personality, experimented myself with where and what I can gather as an entrepreneur, right? Because one of the things that you always, as an entrepreneur, you're absorbing a lot of information. You're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And 3, I think the failures set me apart. I learned that, these setbacks will always be there. It doesn't matter whether you think you're doing it right or wrong, but the setbacks is a place to learn. And I think if you have that mindset to kind of jump those setbacks and have a positive mindset, it helps you to grow faster. So I thought, I'll spend the next maybe 5-7 minutes taking you through these 5 essential skills that entrepreneurs, startup founders, co-founders, proprietors of companies should really look at honing. And in the age that we are in, these 5 skills I felt really help entrepreneurs to look inward rather than outward. Right? It's a time to be self-reflect on what you can do better rather than what you have. Right. So let me know if you can see my next screen. One of the key ingredient, I think the fundamental skill of being an entrepreneur is to figure out your secret sauce. What is your business made of, right? What is that one thing which is different from everyone else in the market that you're offering to your customer, and he feels that you're innovative, you're new, you are different, and that is the secret sauce you'll have to define for your business. And I think, as startup co-founders and entrepreneurs, we end up having a business plan. We end up having an idea almost, I think, every day of our life. I think from 2013 to 2019, every second week, I would have something new to work on, a new business idea, a new plan, a new design, a new service, a new solution. But in the boundary of learning and development, right? So, and I share this with you because my investor very clearly said, Pawan, if you don't have a secret sauce, right, what really gets you to a client and gets you to win the contract, right? So that's number 1, right? So be very clear on what your secret sauce is. 2, you need to have the ability to learn. For me, I think learning just came, it was just obvious. I mean, if I didn't learn, I wouldn't have probably, thrived. I wouldn't have probably been able to sell what I had to sell. I wouldn't have been probably in the space that I had to be. I wouldn't have known solutions. I wouldn't have read through a lot of these articles. And I think many things. I think what is important, like I was saying, is to see what is that you believe will what is that you believe will get you there to have this learning ability or having this learning quotient, right? Because the more you learn, you're able to get ahead of the race. You're able to get ahead in front of your competitors. You're able to get ahead in terms of what you have today. You might have another edition tomorrow, right? So for me, ability to learn is, I think, the most important skill in life. Many people say, different things, but if you look at entrepreneurship, if you're building a business, or if you're, in somewhere you're trying to scale your business, ability to learn is a must. The if you look at it again, the ups and downs an entrepreneur goes through are unavoidable, right? I mean, entrepreneur needs an high ability to learn and a desire to learn. Like I say, if a person is able to learn in any situation, right? I'm saying just not professionally, even personally, right? Even in failure, you need to have the right skills necessary to become an entrepreneur. For example, one of the things that I learned is to be mindful of what I have, right? And I even take that same skill today in my corporate life. Being mindful of that today you have success, tomorrow your success will not be there. Today, mindful of that, you're failing in something today, you might not fail. You might actually learn from the failure and move on. Being mindful that you have people today, the same people won't be with you tomorrow. Being mindful that you have a lots of money in the bank, and after the next 15 days, once you pay all your salaries and once you start put all your money in your IT and other resources, you won't have money in the first week of the next month, right? So being mindful is another ability to again to learn that what you have today you will not have tomorrow, right? So failure can help expand one's knowledge and understanding of the business, right? And I believe your learning ability, like I said, learnability is a big thing. In fact, I probably can share a very interesting fact that 66%, and I think this I saw from Harvard Business Review, they have an entrepreneur outlook feature. The 66% of the new businesses fail because the CEOs don't want to learn new things once they've started the business. Because they come in with a particular mindset, they come in with a particular thought and say, hey, you know what? I think I've got ready. I think I know what I want to do. But the changing dynamics, the clients are changing, their requirements are changing, the whole technology landscape is changing, competitors are changing. And I think the fact is so true, right? So if you don't learn, if you don't learn something new, if you're not agile with your learning, you will face a lot of obstacles. The second thing, or rather, the third thing is, how do you keep focus? And again, since I spoke about mindfulness, being focused is something which is very important, because you have a lot of distractions as an entrepreneur, right? You'll have distractions of people, you'll have distractions at home, you'll have distractions from investors, you'll have distractions from clients, because clients will start saying, oh, you know what, I don't want what you're selling, give me what I want, right? So for me, a very clear-cut pathway, even when I was operating, was that I said, you know what, I had a distraction of saying, can you come and do training and development, right? Can you do that 100%? I don't want your engagement. I don't want you to measure anything. I don't want you to give me feedback. I don't want you to give me an app, right? I don't want any of that. Just come and do 2 days classroom training, Friday, Saturday, and I'll pay your bill. I said, no, that's not what the business we are in. That's not what I want to get distracted. For me, what is important is not classroom training. For me, what is important is how can I make an impact on the business after a program is done? How could I make an impact for the next 4 weeks when 10 of your leaders attend a program, and the next 4 weeks I'm working with them for them to show conscious impact on the job, right? So the highs of success and the despairs of setbacks are huge, right? And I think a successful entrepreneur, I believe, needs to be able to focus so that they can stay that course when the going gets tough, right? And it's only when you realize that you stick to your fundamentals, you focus on what you have today, is what really takes you for a long. And for me, this skill can also be taught as a thinking with an end in mind, right? No matter what struggles an entrepreneur goes through today, a successful entrepreneur has the focus necessary, to keep an unwavering eye on the end goal, right? In the next 3 years, this is where I want to be. This is the kind of PNL I want to achieve. This is the kind of business I want to build, right? So I'm not going to get distracted with what I have today. The fourth thing is to be the marketing and the salesperson, or to be the CMO and the CSO of the company. Don't play the role of a CSO, because when you start playing the role of a CSO, you kind of start, believing yourself, saying that, what, I need to manage the business, I need to manage money, I need to manage P&L, right? But when you start thinking like a chief sales officer or a sales executive or a chief marketing officer or a marketing manager, you start realizing that it's all about getting yourself in front of the client, right? To making that sales pitch, to getting your deck in front of the client, to making a set of marketing collaterals, to putting yourself in front of, online, offline. Today, it's a lot of social media marketing that's happening, right? We also invested a lot of money in that. But you'll have to be very careful of, getting yourself there to pitch, because nobody else, I'm sure, knows how to pitch better than you. If you are the co-founder, founder, entrepreneur of the company, you're the best person to know what goes in and what's the problem statement. You have that passion to be in front of a client and say, hey, this is exactly what I'm trying to solve for you today. But as a CEO, you kind of tend to have a layer. You'll have a set of few things in front of your eyes. So you're a bit different. So be the eyes and ears, be the marketing and the salespeople of the company, right? At any point of time, take the podium, get the deck, prepare it, go in front of the client. If it means to, go around meeting different people in different cities, I think that's typically what a journey should be for a CEO or co-founder. Sitting in front of a laptop for 8-10 hours a day, coding away, or sending out 100 emails, I believe doesn't really get you results, even in this time of the year, right? Even when there is hybrid work, I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs and startups I observed. I also mentor a few of them, and I've told them that you cannot just keep sending out. I mean, the entrepreneurs in the age of early 20s to early 30s believe that everything happens on social media. No, it does not happen. You have to go out and meet people. You have to shake hands. You have to be there live. You have to talk to the guy, person, eye to eye. And I think that's, I believe, is the skill of a sales and a marketing person. Last but not the least, it's important that you bring in the element of being communicative. Like I said, you have to hone your email skills, you have to hone your presentation skills, you have to hone your telephonic skills, you will have to hone your social presence, right? And all of this, right, comes together as a great communicator, right? If you don't communicate well, if you don't articulate your message of an entrepreneur, of your company, of your product and service, again, nobody else can. Communication goes a long way. And I believe that you'll have to spend time. I mean, do you have it in you? Do you go and tell people that, hey, you know what, I can communicate really well? That's up to you, for you to kind of figure out whether you can do that. But it's imperative for every entrepreneur, like I said, is able to communicate to your internal employees, to able to stand in front of a board or in front of an investor and articulate how your P&L is going to look, to stand in front of your creditors, in front of your bank manager and say, give me more loan, to work with your mentors to say, hey, give me more feedback, where am I going wrong, to make a pitch to that customer and getting the deal. All of this is just basic communication, right? So it's unlikely that I believe a startup entrepreneur will not have the skill, right? So you need to master all forms of communication. So that's something that I wanted to cover today. I'm hoping that I've been able to articulate my journey as an entrepreneur for those 9 years, and also having worked with the startup co-founders and all of that, I've been able to relate some of my observational experiences with you, and I hope there are a few takeaways that you will have this session. Again, I'm just cautious of the time.
Thank you,
I have
Pawan. Thank you
another,
so much. I
yeah,
think
thank you.
normally the presentation would be only for 20 minutes, but today it was kind of a mesmerizing journey of ups and downs, which was shared, which really was very interesting, and I think it was extremely relevant to our community. I don't know whether you have heard of a book from Dr. Seuss,
Yes,
uh, where he talks about the life being going ups and downs, and finally being able to manage those ups and downs. I think
correct. You're,
that was a key takeaway for me. And
yeah,
before we really get into any discussion, I have a short question to you. You spoke about
sure.
5 skills: secret recipe, ability to learn, focus, CMO, and communication. Now, how do you recommend that one would uh, learn to form the secret recipe? Is there any thing which you can share? Secret recipe is the core, right? Unless you have a
That's
secret
the core,
recipe,
right?
that's the core.
That's the heart of the
Ah,
company, right? And I think for me, the secret sauce, nobody will be able to kind of get to know the secret sauce other than the person who's kind of ideating a company. Because if you don't know the secret sauce, sometimes you can, I mean, I think if you don't know how to ideate a secret sauce, if you don't know what you really want to start the company for, if you don't know what the problem you want to solve, I think you've lost it. But I think the caveat is many a times when you start, going and meeting customers, even before you have even I mean, you just have a thought in mind that I want to become an entrepreneur. I would recommend that you go and start talking to, prospective customers. Customers come and tell you what your secret sauce would be, right? They come and tell you, you know what, I have this problem. Can you solve it? And if you think that's the problem you want to solve in the longer term, not just to make money, but if you're able to solve that, business problem, and if you believe that has a potential to grow to at least a crore of business in the next 5 to 5 years, and I think I'm just giving you a very practical example of the investment and the money and what it takes to build in the timeline. Because a crore in 3 to 5 years is a good amount of money to make today. I mean, it's not very difficult if you have the wherewithal to do it. Customers kind of preempt you saying, hey, here is a problem. Can you solve it for me? And I think if you're able to build on that, that becomes your secret
so I
recipe or
think
a sauce as well.
it's very interesting that your storyline and your approach has been mainly to focus on the market and focus on the customer,
Yeah.
and be good at explaining what you do in terms of communication,
Yeah.
and at the same time be continuously reflecting to learn as you move
Yeah.
along.
Yeah.
That's something very interesting. And focus also is equally important. So
Yes.
anybody has any question, or do you want to share any comment? Any one of you, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sagar, go on. Yeah, please.
Please. Yeah.
Hey, Pawan.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to, hi,
You
Sagar. Nice
introduce
to meet you
yourself, Sagar, and
again.
then ask the question.
We've met in the PNE office, Dinakar. I think we met
Correct,
Sagar.
correct, correct.
Yeah.
Along
Yeah.
with me. That's true.
Way back in 2015
Yes,
and
yes.
Yeah,
16.
so sure. Sagar, go on.
Yeah. Yeah, Pawan, look, I mean, in patchy areas is where I heard, but the majority of the thing was summarized by Dinakar when he said about the ups and downs. Now, I just want to ask you this out of my gut question. Any point of time you wanted to give up, and when you felt like
Oh.
wanting to give up, what happened? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
did you
In
give up?
fact,
Where did you come back?
yeah. In fact, I didn't cover that. I think, see, for me, the biggest insecurity of an entrepreneur is not, about the business. The insecurity of the entrepreneur is that, about things like, what will my family do if I don't get my next contract next month? How will I face my employees if I am not able to disperse salary on the 30th of every month? What if I'm not able to make the investments into my IT, my HR, my other systems, my product, my services, right? So I think those are the insecurity. And I think in the first few years, I was plagued by these insecurities. In fact, there are times when I've said, you know what, I will go and teach on Saturdays and Sundays, and I've done that to make the few extra bucks to kind of keep myself on that momentum of earning. And I've kind of, but I think over time you start, like I said, one of the things that I started learning is to be mindful, right? Don't worry about what's going to happen, next month, 3 months down the line. Today, if you think you're confident about getting a contract, you will work towards it. You know, if your end goal in the next 1 year is to grow to a company of, let's say, 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs, or, you want this customer on your list, those insecurities will slowly start fading away. But in the first 2-3 years, yes, I think every night I'll have sleepless nights, but yeah, I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, anybody else? Vinayak, you normally have something to share. I think he's already not there. Okay, so Amarji,
Yeah.
would you like to share your experience listening to Pawan?
Good evening, Dinakar sir and Pawanji, for this wonderful session. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah. Yes,
very
sir.
much.
Yeah, I think so. Very well spoken, Pawanji. After a long time, I could hear a very mature talk on how business skills should be opened up as an entrepreneurship. Basics, as you said rightly, your focus should be there. I think so. You have spoken well on the 5 commandments of the ethics of being a successful business person. Very well said. We need to follow up with what you said to be more successful in life. All I can understand. I think so. That's the best thing.
Thank you, Amarji. Pawan,
Focus,
how is the...
as I said, focus, ability to learn. There are certain things, what you said, you should take into cognizance. Ability to learn from your failures, being mindful, expand your reach, learn new things, distraction of people, impact on business. All these things are a must for any successful businessman to understand before he grows up. I think otherwise it will be difficult for him to come up. I understand this. Very well said, Pawan. I must tell you, hats up to you today.
Thank you so much, Amarji. Pawan, how is it? What is the kind of experience when you go back to the corporate after being a founder? You're on mute. Yeah.
I think, being in I think a corporate, getting back is not easy unless you've made a mark in your entrepreneurial life. You've had a scalable business. You have had a set of clients who can recommend you, who can be a great reference, who can fall back on you. You've had a company, you've been able to scale, and you've had a certain amount of turnover and things like that. But I think the numbers is the quality of work speak for itself. I think that's exactly what I had as a background. 7.5, 8 years of work, I think, just spoke for itself. Else, I wouldn't have been had the opportunity to work with Infosys when I wanted to get back to my corporate role. And then it's just been a journey with GMI even now as a global director of L&D. But for people to want to look at corporate life, I think you need to have, you need to figure out why. I mean, why do you want to either sell off, you want to shut down, you want to look at it as a backup? That's a question you need to ask yourself, right? So it all depends on how your situation is, or whoever situation is who wants to think of getting back to corporate. But I would say, you need to give it a well-informed thought. You need to take all the different decisions together, right? Home, your situation, your investors, or rather your employees, your co-founders, if you have. It has to be a very well thought through decision, because you've spent too much of time, starting a company. That means you're passionate about doing something. It's not easy to just shut it down, or wrap it up, or take a pause and things like that. It takes a lot of guts.
Yeah, please go on, Amarji.
Yeah, one thing that was striking my mind, Pawanji, as I hope you can hear me, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can, sir. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Today, AI and digital space is taking place in all our lives.
Yeah.
How does this work with the entrepreneurs today, with their skills and futures?
I think it's too premature to comment, sir, because from the way it is going, every 6 months, there's something new that's coming up. So I haven't really, I don't really think we're just scratching the surface. I mean, there are so many things happening because, it is also spoiling the current generation. Two, it is also not giving us, problems to solve. I mean, we think that everything can be solved by technology. I think, well, I have mixed reviews on that. I don't think I can put a finger and say whether it will work or not.
Because every day, the social media
Yes,
says
it's a
this
new
is that,
thing.
that is that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We are getting crazy on that.
Yeah.
So I think
Dinakar,
so.
sir, I'm just mindful of the time. I have a call in 4 minutes. So if there is nothing, I'd like to say a big thank
Yeah,
you
sure,
Also,
sure,
I
sure.
would-
to all of
big
us
thank
who
you,
attended.
thank you to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pawan. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for the
And
opportunity.
hold on. We just take a picture of all of us together so that
Sure.
we can use it in our
Yeah.
video later. And after that, I'll send you the link. The others,
Yeah.
if you want, you can switch on your camera so that I can take a picture. There you go. Okay, super. So thank you so much, Pawan. And then looking forward to
Here once
meet you
again.
again. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Thanks a lot for hosting.
Excellent program.
Thank you for the
Pawan
invite.
let me tell you one thing before you leave us. I have made a note of what you spoke today. To be honest with you.
Sure.
I
Thank
think
you, sir.
it's a wonderful journey.
Thank
You have
you.
taken us through your marketing skills. I look
Thank you,
forward
sir.
to listen to you more, sir. Thank you
Look
so
forward
much.
to more interactions. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
day.
Have a nice day,
Good
sir.
day.
Have a nice
See you, sir. You too. Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank
Dinakar, sir.